Get this started.
Okay. Welcome. Everybody's coming in. We're going to give it here just a second while we get things started. There you go, Amy. Your camera is working now.
Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say.
All right. I am adjusting settings here.
Hi, Richmond. Oh, the gang's all here.
Hello.
All right. So it looks like we've got about 26 people who have joined us. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. It is 1:01 p.m. and in the interest of being prompt and on time, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. My name is Kelly Crucy. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at the Arizona Commerce Authority for the State Broadband Office. Thank you so much for making time to join us today. We've got a great guidance webinar planned out for you, and we've got the team here to get things started. So I will do some quick introductions, and then we will get started. But before we do that, I'll give you kind of the directions for how things will go. Today, we're going to stick to the Q&A. So if you've got questions, go ahead and put those into the Q&A portion. The chat is disabled, so we'll use the Q&A portion for this. And then if that is not something you're able to do, you can raise your hand. I can unmute you as well, but I'm going to try and keep it streamlined between the Q&A and raising your hand and unmuting. If I add the chat into it, it gets to be a lot to manage at once, and I want to make sure we don't miss any questions. All right. Apologies if things are getting loud. I'm outside of a coffee shop while traveling. You can hear the traffic outside. All right, so I'm going to do quick introductions. Above me, for me at least, is Amy Dorman. She's our Deputy Director in the State Broadband Office. Thanks for being here. Below me is Richmond from Ready. He's going to give us all the fun details behind the registration portal, the pre-registration portal, how to access it and do all the things inside. And then we've got Divya. She is one of our consultants who's here to speak about the guidance portion as far as elements that are required for the pre-registration. We also have James and Tunk as well, who are here to help support. They are consultants as well, and we appreciate their time being here so that we can get every question answered. And again, put those questions into the Q&A portion, and we will try to answer those at the end of each section. So for instance, at the end of Richmond's section, we'll try and answer any questions about that portal. And then at the end of Divya's section, we'll answer any questions about the pre-registration application, what that looks like. All right, James, let's go ahead and get started. If you'll give me slide number 1, please. All right, so today, these are some of the things that we'll be taking a look at and discussing. We've got the BEAD program overview and timeline. We'll do a demonstration of that pre-registration portal with Richmond, and then we'll do the pre-registration process with Divya, and followed by the Q&A. Next slide, please. And next slide. So I'm betting that everyone here is very well versed in the BEAD program. And here's kind of a more detailed program overview. High-level overview is this. You all are aware of the BEAD program, Broadband Equity and Access Deployment Program. Arizona has received $993 million. And where we are at this point in time, we'll see a timeline in a second. But what we are trying to do here, and what the goal of the Commerce Authority is, the State Broadband Office, is to connect 100% of households in Arizona by 2030. We're looking at 100% connection for households, which is a big goal, a lofty goal. And as we are now launching into pre-registration, we are looking to the ISPs and the stakeholders, the counties, to help us meet that goal of 100% connection. So we have gone from getting our initial proposal submitted to having it approved in August to now being here. We just completed market sounding, and we are going into the pre-registration. So again, BEAD across the country is all about connecting the unserved and underserved households. And in Arizona, that means 100% of households will be connected. Next slide, please. And then our timeline, I spoke about a few of these things. So many of you know already last week, we finished that market sounding that finished on November 7th. And that's where we were collecting input and feedback from our stakeholders, from potential BEAD applicants about these project areas that have been drafted, collecting that feedback. Now we're moving into pre-registration, which launched last Monday. So on November 4th, we launched that portal, sent out our emails, put it on the website. That is available now for stakeholders to take a look at and BEAD eligible applicants to look at as well. And this webinar today is speaking all about how to do this. So that launched on November 4th. We're having our Q&A sessions and webinars this week. And then starting next week, we will have some Q&A sessions, and we will have details about that coming out later this week. But this week we've got our webinars. Tomorrow we have one specifically for tribal entities in the state of Arizona. And these are recorded and will be placed on the website. And then the intake for that pre-registration. So it started on November 4th, and that will continue. The pre-registration intake for round 1 and round 2 will continue through May. So if you look there in the green, you'll see round 1. And this is the application intake for round 1 applications, which are focused on fiber applications. So that will start for the actual application on December 20th. You start your pre-registration now. Pre-registration is mandatory in order to apply. And you can then, once December 20th hits, you can start working on that application. And applications for round 1 need to be in by January 31st. After that, we'll begin the review and the negotiations, and that will start in February. And then round 2, the application intake will open on April 24th. And round 2 will be focused on the alternative technologies. All right, next slide.
All right, I can take it from here.
James is having some lag. Okay.
All right. So we're going to go through how to participate in the pre-registration process. So from this nice Arizona Commerce Authority landing page, you'll click this button here that says Start Pre-Registration. But I also want to call out, right down here are some great supporting documents, including a FAQ that's updated after these webinars. So it's a great resource for getting up-to-date information on the questions that your peers are thinking about. You'll simply click that button, click Register. Very basic, entering your org name, website. We will drop down in providers, so you can select the corresponding provider here. If you don't see an option for you, there's an other where you can click that and then just provide a bit of additional context so that ACA can evaluate your submission here. Provide your EIN, FRN, address, all of this information, basic stuff. When you click finish, there's a step where this will go to the Arizona Broadband Office to review and verify, just kind of a quick verification that you are eligible to participate. If they have any questions, they'll shoot you an email or anything like that. Once they get a chance to vet it, you will receive 2 emails, both which with a button that will take you through an account setup, which will allow you to access this, which is the portal where you'll be submitting that pre-registration form, but also the BEAD application eventually. So from this is the homepage inside the portal. As you can see, you can click here to start pre-registration, but I also want to call out, you can click here to invite teammates. You can invite as many teammates as you want to collaborate with you on this process. And then you can also make edits to your organization profile. So if any of the information you entered was incomplete or incorrect, you can go here and update that. Once inside the portal, there's a variety of question types, but many of them are check certifications where you upload a signed letter saying that you plan to abide by these program requirements. There are also a few where you will download a form. So you'll download a template. So for example, this one would be ownership information. You download that. It has the structure that ACA would like that information presented, you simply download that, fill out the template, and upload it back up. You can save your progress at any time, as well as, again, collaborating with your teammates. And then you can also move through the application to see kind of all the information that you will need to present together, and also can use that potentially to divvy up different tasks between your teammates. And then once your pre-application has been submitted, pre-registration application has been submitted, then if the team deems you to be eligible to participate in, so submit a BEAD application, then you will receive a notification of that. And you will be able to access, again, from this homepage, you'll see the BEAD application here. And I also wanted to call out that if on your pre-registration form, maybe there's an area where the Arizona team needs some additional information, or they're not quite sure about how you filled something out, they can send a request for revision where you'll receive an email notifying you that there's been a request. You'll also see it in the portal, and then you'll get the guidance from them to be able to make that change and successfully resubmit. That's really the basic portal overview there. Thanks.
Thanks, Richmond. Can you hear me?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, I got kicked out, so I'm back. Okay, so thank you for that. Are there any questions for Richmond? I can see that there is one in here from Teresa about all the templates, but I'm not sure that that's a specific question to the portal.
I can answer that. For the pre-application, yes. Any question where you have to download and submit a template, it just says right there to download the template, and there's directions to do it. They're all available, and they're right there associated with the question that you need to submit them for, so no guesswork required there.
Great. Are there any other questions for Richmond or anything about the portal? All right, well, then we will keep moving forward. James, if you can bring back the PowerPoint, please. And then we will turn it over to Divya. She can launch into her area.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. Thank you, Kelly. So just to begin with this whole presentation is to give you an overview of the high-level requirements in the pre-registration process, and this involves both financial, technical, operational, and other experience-related items. So where ACA would assess if the applicants have necessary qualifications to undertake the BEAD program projects. So the first section under this, we can move to the next section, James. Yeah, so this is general requirements. There's no specific section on the portal for providing information here. It's basically showcasing how the applicants would be assessed in terms of different capabilities. So for financial requirements, there are different variety of areas that require submissions to be provided. And then following that, there are technical and operational capability requirements and different experience-related requirements that are required to be provided by the applicants. Okay. So for the first section on the financial capability, the first one would involve certifications from the applicants, which certifies that they're financially qualified to undertake the BEAD broadband projects, and that also requires a signed attestation from an authorized official from the applicant certifying the same. It's more like a checkbox first, and then the certification to be uploaded. Following that, for audited financial statements requirements, so for publicly traded companies, the ACA requires the applicants to provide 10K statements for the last 3 years. And for the applicants that are not publicly traded, unaudited financial statements have to be provided for the last 3 years. There's also a requirement for applicants that do not have audited financial statements. They can provide unaudited financial statements for the last 3 years, along with the certification that an audited statement would be provided prior to the signing of the grant agreement if selected. And for newly formed or for applicants with limited operational capability, they can provide the interim financial statements for the current year, which should suffice. The next one in terms of performance security, so this is something that's there in the pre-registration as just a certification that the applicants understand that they will be required to provide a performance security at the project application stage. It could be a letter of credit or a performance bond. So this is just a checkbox certification that is required at this stage, and they'll be required to provide this at the project application stage. So more information about this would be provided in the guidance at the project application stage and the pre-registration stage as well. Next slide, James. So there are additional sections under financial capability that the applicants are required to provide. So another one is the material changes in financial condition. So that's something that involves more like change in stakeholders, equity about 10%, or defaults, or different bankruptcies and mergers and acquisitions that kind of impact the financial capability of the applicants. Again, these are just required to be provided to assess the financial capability of the applicants. It does not preclude the applicants from getting pre-registered. Also, not having material changes the same way doesn't really specified that they would be automatically pre-registered. So this is a requirement that needs to be provided. And following that, there's a requirement on providing a credit rating. So it could be from a firm like S&P Global, Moody's, or Fitch Ratings. It's good if you have it, you can provide it. If not, it doesn't really hinder the capability of the applicants. And the other section would involve the bankruptcy insolvency proceedings. So these are basically providing any instances of insolvency events in the past 3 years, wherever that's applicable. And the last one under this would be the failure to perform. So this is basically providing any default that the applicant had to face in terms of broadband deployment projects for both local, state, and federal projects right from 2019 till date. It's just to assess the overall capability of the applicants. So following the financial capability, the next section would be the managerial capability. So this is categorized into different categories for submissions. The first one is submission of an organizational chart, which highlights the parent company, subsidiaries, and affiliates involved in operations with the applicant. And the second one would be an applicant organizational chart. So this chart would involve including the key personnel that are associated with the organization that would likely have a role on the potential broadband project. And it also requires to provide a narrative on how the organization employs key personnel with relevant state and federal laws and industry practices. The third one under this is the qualification section. So this requires the potential applicants to submit details of their past broadband and telecommunication projects. And it also requires the experience details to be provided for contractors and subcontractors. So it's important to note that if the applicants have identified them at this stage, they can go ahead and provide it right now. If not, that's fine. They can provide it again later during the project application stage. Following that, there's this resumes of key management personnel that will be required to provide for all key financial, technical, and managerial personnel that would be involved in deploying the BEAD Program projects, along with designating a project manager for these projects. And then there's also an explanation of roles and responsibilities narrative, where for each applicant that's identified in the application, like each key personnel, they would have to describe the roles and responsibilities for them. Following that, there's an organizational readiness requirement that's basically highlighting the organization's relevant past experience and project management capabilities in terms of highlighting the different challenges that they've faced and how they have overcome them, and whatever resources and partnerships they have in place for undertaking future project executions. The last one under this section would be a narrative on managerial readiness that's highlighting more of a collective team experience in terms of undertaking BEAD broadband projects, and also highlighting any significant mergers and acquisitions that have been undertaken that has impacted the managerial readiness, along with organizational policies in place for managerial readiness. Now, when we come to the technical capability, that has also been divided into 3 sections. The first section is more like a certification in terms of implying that they have the necessary capabilities for undertaking BEAD program projects in terms of skilled workforce, certified personals, and all the required credentials and licenses. And the applicants are also required to provide a contractor selection process if they're employing a contracted workforce, specifying relevant skills and certifications and training programs that they would focus on for selecting the contractors. The last one under this is an appropriately skilled and credentials workforce narrative. So this involves that the applicants and the contractors outline the steps that they would take for employing skilled and credentialed workforce, including details about different trainings and certification requirements that they have in place. The next section under the pre-registration is the compliance with applicable laws. The first one would be an attestation confirming an understanding of all the relevant federal, state, and local laws. And the second requirement under this would be a comprehensive overview of previous records and compliance checks for the projects that have been undertaken or are being undertaken. The third one under this requires the details of established processes, procedures, and protocols that are in place for ensuring future compliance for all the broadband deployment projects. After the compliance with laws requirement, the second one is the compliance with safety and health requirements. Here, ACA requires the applicants to provide a narrative describing the commitment toward compliance with occupational safety and health, along with submission of training programs that are aimed for ensuring safety and legal standards, and a certification that certifies that potential applicants provide workers to create worker-led health and safety committees. So this whole section would be focused on OSHA requirements. So the next one, James. Following this, the operational capability section focuses on the applicants to demonstrate their operational capabilities for undertaking broadband projects in Arizona. The first one under this would be to provide evidence of operations in terms of the number of years that they've been operating, along with the number of years they've been operating in Arizona, along with providing the current subscriber numbers and locations in Arizona and out of Arizona. And the third one under this is to provide any broadband-related projects that they are undertaking or have completed in the past in Arizona. And it also requires any information about penalties or anything that the applicant has paid in the last 3 years. Following that, there's also certification for compliance with FCC regulations. So where the applicants will be required to provide confirmation that they comply with FCC forms 477 and Broadband Data Act submission wherever applicable. For new providers, they are required to provide evidence of operational capability in terms of having the sufficient resources and partnerships in place, and also having the relevant resumes of personal staff. So they can include those as an evidence for current operational capabilities. So the ownership section, as per 47 CFR and the BEAD NOFO requirements, so potential applicant must disclose any party with interested in the organization. This also involves stockholders' information with more than 10% of stock, or if it's a limited partners, general partners, or limited liability company information as well, based on the nature of the organization. Further, they will also be required to provide their relation with FCC regulated entities and ownership. Along with this, if applicable, the applicants are encouraged to submit documentation certifying their organization status as an MB, WB, or LSF. If not, at this stage, they can even provide that during the project application stage. Next slide, James. All right. Following this, there's a public funding information section where the applicants are required to provide list of all publicly funded state and federal broadband projects that have been undertaken in the past, and also the ones that they plan to undertake in the future, along with the list of all the programs that have been listed. They are also required to provide the plans to submit for BEAD projects in other states. Next. Okay, this section focuses on the fair labor practices and highly skilled workforce information. So here, to demonstrate record of compliance, potential applicants are required to submit assigned evidence with compliance with federal and state labor laws for the last 3 years. Also for the subcontractors and contractors, if they have been identified at this stage. If not, they can also provide this at the project application stage. And in case of non-compliance with any of the federal and state employment laws, they are required to provide a narrative on that and how they would ensure future compliance for the projects. Following this, there's an environmental and national historical preservation section where it's more of a certification from the applicants with an intent to comply with National Environmental Policy Act and also the National Historic Preservation Act. So this is more of a checkbox and a signed attestation that needs to be provided. So the BABA requirements under BEAD would require the applicants to certify that they understand and would commit to comply with the BABA requirements. So that's a certification. And further, ACA requires the applicants to provide detailed plans outlining the approach to remain compliant with BABA requirements. It's a narrative description here. Next one, James. So for the last section is the cybersecurity and supply chain risk management compliance. So for this section, applicants can either provide their plans during the pre-registration phase or during the project application phase. That it should further certify stating that these plans are operational and they are compliant with NIST frameworks and written procedures and protocols required for these plans. And again, if they don't submit it during the pre-registration, they can submit so at the project application stage. So this is all we have for the pre-registration application. It was a high-level overview, so we're happy to take more questions now from everyone.
We've got 2 so far in the chat that came in a few minutes ago. The first one is from Bruce, and Bruce asks, in the organization section, what constitutes an affiliate?
Okay, so if the organization is a consortium or a partnership entity, so the other entities related with the organization is what constitutes an affiliate.
Okay,
so
and go ahead, Divya.
No, it's fine.
All right, then the next question is, the history of operations section is asking about operations specifically in Arizona or nationwide?
This one is specifically for Arizona.
Okay. Okay, as far as I could tell, those are all the questions. Are there others? You can, like I said, raise your hand. We can unmute you. You can type them into the Q&A.
Hey Kelly, I'm not sure if it's because your computer cut out, but at least on my end, it looks like I have a question from Monica regarding our organization is a large nonprofit that serves veterans assisting with housing needs. Would the BEAD program be able to assist us in providing broadband technologies to veterans we support in housing, as well as our support service offices?
Okay, so I don't see that one again. Can you read it for me one more time, please, so I can get it all?
No
Thank you.
problem. Yeah, sorry to jump in. I just wanted to.
No, I appreciate it. I need all the questions answered.
Our organization is a large nonprofit that serves veterans assisting with housing needs. Would the BEAD program be able to assist us in providing broadband technologies to veterans we support in housing, as well as our support service offices?
Okay, so my understanding, Divya, jump in
Mhm.
here, or Amy as well. Nonprofits are eligible to apply for BEAD funding, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I can't see who that was from. Richmond, if you can maybe put that into the chat for us. Nonprofits are eligible to apply. And Divya, I don't know if you have more information that can supplement or provide more details as far as that pre-registration process or what can be provided.
Yes, so for that, it's specifically nonprofits can participate in the program. So specific requirements have been highlighted in the guidance for both publicly traded and non-publicly traded organizations. But if there's anything else, we can address it separately.
Okay, so I apologize for not seeing that question. I didn't come through to me, but I do want to make sure I don't see the name of who asked that, but I will put in my email, if I can do that to everyone, into the chat so that if this person can contact me, I want to make sure that we're getting all the questions answered for sure. So I would love to learn more about that and even put you in contact with Aaron with Digital Equity as well. So I will put my email into the chat to make sure we can dig deeper into that. In the meantime, we do have a few others that have come up. One is, has the NTIA approved the challenge results? Amy, can you speak on that one? I
No,
believe
not
it's
yet.
no. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, and then the next one, I am going to be submitting an application to service areas with alternative technologies. Do I only have to fill out the pre-application for round 2? And that is correct. Yes. So if you are submitting an application for alternative technology, that would be in round 2. You can start your pre-registration at any time. You can start that now. It's better to have that done sooner than later for sure. Amy, do you want to add any details to that?
No, I think you hit it. Thank you, Kelly.
Great. Okay. Next one from Brittany. Is there a timeline on when the final eligible BSL list will be released along with the project areas? Amy, I need your guidance on that one.
Sure. Going back to the timeline, we could share the slide. The final project areas will be released after we go through the project area round 1 and round 2. So we're in the midst right now of pre-registration, and round 1 will go through this timeline. If I'm making a mistake, please correct me if I'm wrong, and we're happy to circle back. But they will be final after round 1.
Thank you. Another one, I had to join late due to travel. Can I get access to the recording later? Yes. So just so everyone is clear, this will be on our website. And also the deck will be as well. And what I will also do is pull the list of attendees from these and email it to you directly as well. That way you've got it. But we do have a content library and put all of our recordings there as well.
We can also follow up with any clarifying information for any of the questions that have been posted and update the FAQs so everyone's aware of the responses and share that as well.
Absolutely. So I did put our email into the chat, that broadband@azcommerce.com. I put that email because that goes to the entire office. We all have eyes on that. There's a quick response time. So if there are questions, and hopefully everybody can see what I put in the chat, please email that email address and we can connect with you very quickly and answer any follow-up questions that you might have that we didn't get to today. Okay, so I'm not seeing any other questions. I don't see any raised hands. Like I said, this will go on the website. I believe last week's webinar is on the website already. So if you didn't catch last week's webinar, you can see it there. I do see another question from Teresa here. I may have heard this wrong, but applicants can't apply in round 1 without knowing the eligible BSLs and project areas before we apply. In fact, ISPs will need as much time as possible to develop the budgets for project areas for round one. Maybe I'm confused, question mark. All right, Divya and Amy, what are your thoughts on that?
We do have the initial project areas posted and available for applicants to register. That is publicly available. So if that was a miscommunication, I do apologize for that, but that information is available. What we did during market sounding was collect feedback from all of our stakeholders across the state to receive their response to our initial draft project areas. We just recently closed the market sounding period and are going to be coming back with a revised list of project areas. So that will be shared as soon as it's available. We're just currently digesting all of the market sounding feedback that we have requested.
Thanks, Amy. All right, Teresa says, excellent. Thank you. Okay. There are no other questions at this point in time. Again, if you think of them after the fact, which is something I always do, please do email us, broadband@azcommerce.com. I'll plug that in the chat one more time. Also, you will be hearing from me. I will be contacting everybody who signed up to participate today, sending you the details in this recording, and then you'll have our email as well, and you can always reach out with those questions. So thanks for everyone who made time to attend today. We really appreciate it. Thanks for your great questions. Keep them coming. We want to make sure that we get all the information to you and that you have what you need so you can have a successful pre-registration time. Hi, Divya. Do you want to add something?
No, just thank you for joining, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone. That's it. We'll get this
Thank
on the
you.
website and you'll hear from us via email. Take care.
Thanks.